Good morning, good evening, and good night to all. This is Reading in Solitude, and I'm your host of Reading in Solitude. In tonight's episode, we're going to be reading another story of mine called Cozy with Katyusha, and this is a girls und Panzer fiction, and I hope you'll enjoy. And so with that out of the way, and with nothing more to say, let's get into it. Move forth, cheered Katyusha, pointing towards the horizon. Aye, Commander, I replied. I moved my hands and then my legs as I crawled across the lawn with Katyusha on my back. Haha, those pesky Kruts don't stand a chance against us, she cheered as she lifted her rifle and leveled it at the targets in front of us. In the time it took for her to fire off 2 shots from her pellet gun, I watched the 2 targets fall over, torn open by the lead slugs that hit them both. It all happened in an instant, and like that, it was over. Katyusha sighed. I don't see why we couldn't just use a real rifle, she groaned, looking over at the toy rifle. Yeah, we'll see how you like having stuff going off next to your ear, huh? I retorted. You know, you're not supposed to talk back to your superiors, she said in a stern yet playful way. Well, what have we got ourselves here? Asked Nona from behind us. I turned to look and spotted Nona with a plate in her hands, which stirred Katyusha. Are they ready? Asked Katyusha excitedly. Yes, Kay finished cooking these not too long ago, so I figured I'd bring some out for you two, replied Nona. I felt a kick as Katyusha excitedly tried dismounting me, which resulted in me falling over onto her. Sorry, I groaned, much to Nona's amusement. I got up and helped up Katyusha as we found a place for us to sit down and eat. Nona had a table set for us and placed the plate of burgers and hot dogs in the middle of us. Those look good, said Katyusha excitedly. You think so? Asked Nona uncertainly. Is this American food? Well, not all of it. I mean, we have plenty of other things like fried chicken, but sure, these are pretty American foods, I replied. I think I might just stick to the hamburgers, said Nona as she took one from the tray. I think I'll have both, said Katyusha excitedly. Would either of you like some condiments? I asked. Condiments? Asked Nona. Sure, onion, lettuce, tomato, ketchup, mustard. I went through the list, but Katyusha already had begun taking toppings from the center without really listening, and she began adding them to her meal as she saw fit. Nona, on the other hand, took but a few things for her burger and spread them out thinly. I watched Katyusha enjoy her food, taking the different toppings and mixing them in different ways on separate parts of her hot dog. She tasted each and gave it a thought before moving on to the next. Man, you sure can stuff a lot down your throat, huh? I joked. What? She asked with her mouth full. It tastes good. That doesn't mean you need to be so sloppy, said Nona. Katyusha shrugged as she continued eating. Nona pulled out a bottle of vodka and poured herself a shot. Gimme, said Katyusha, reaching for the bottle. No, if I give you some, you'll get tired and fall asleep at the party, Nona said as she also poured me a shot. Oh, come on, please, begged Katyusha. I promise I won't get sleepy. Fine, relented Nona. Here, she said, giving Katyusha a shot to have with her meal. By the time we finished eating, Katyusha had a number of drinks and was becoming rather tired next to me. She leaned over to her side and rested her head on my shoulder. See? I knew you would get tired, stated Nona. I'm just a little sleepy. I think I might have a nap, smiled Katyusha. Well, what now? I asked. I suppose we should take her up to the loft so she can rest, replied Nona. Very well, I said as I picked up Katyusha and carried her in. As I passed some of the other guests of the party, I got a few ahs from people, but none of it really seemed to bother Katyusha, as she covered her face with my shirt. Typically, she was not one to like being called cute or even being referred to in such a way, but she seemed to be rather tired, or at least preoccupied. I moved Katyusha up into the loft and set her down on the bed to rest and sleep off the alcohol, but when I got up to leave, I felt her tug my shirt. "Wait," she mumbled. "Don't go." "What is it, Katyusha? Do you need something?" I asked. I can't fall asleep without a lullaby. Could you maybe sing me a lullaby?" she asked. "Well, I don't really know too many, to be honest," I began to say. "Please," pouted Katyusha. "Very well. Give me a second to think," I said as I thought about a song to sing for her. "All right." I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. "Quieter," she mumbled. "What's that?" "Quieter," she groaned as she turned over to face me. "Come on, sit near me." "Very well," I said, sitting down on her bed. I got comfortable and resumed singing and watched Katyusha. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Katyusha let out a yawn before resting her head onto my jacket once more and moving herself under it. "Thank you," she whispered. I unbuttoned the rest of my coat to keep her from getting caught up in it. "Are you ready to sleep now?" I asked. "If so, may I leave you?" "May I ask you something first?" she whispers. "You may." "Do you think I'm tall?" "I think you're lovely as you are," I said to her, not wanting to lie. "You don't think I'm tall, do you?" she said dejectedly. "No, I suppose I don't, but I do think you're lovely, so never mind being tall. You're just fine as you are to me, Katyusha. Never forget that." "Then, can I ask you another thing?" "You may," I said to her, petting her gently. Do you like me?" she asked softly. I thought about what to say to her before saying at last, "I do, Katyusha. You're a one-of-a-kind commander, a great friend, and above all, you're very loyal to those you're close to. I couldn't be happier to work with another tank commander." I guess you could say then that I want to be very loyal to you," she said. "And what do you mean by that?" I want to be closer to you. I want to be... I'm... "Katyusha?" I love you," she said. I was stunned for a moment as I looked at Katyusha, who was now sitting up beside me. She still moved a little wobbly, so I placed a hand on her shoulder and nodded before saying, "I love you too, Katyusha. Now, how about you go ahead and rest for now? We can always talk about this when you're feeling much better." "Will you be here for me when I wake up?" "Always," I said, petting her head. Katyusha laid back down and closed her eyes. "I love you," she hummed. "I love you too." I sat back and looked down to see my friend Katyusha sleeping on my chest. I smiled and shook my head as I took off my shoes, and thought about how lucky I was to have made such lovely friends since joining the tankery team. What a wonderful world indeed, I thought, and with that in mind I turned to look out the window and watched the clouds in the sky until I too fell asleep.